Hi everyone, my name is Jenna and I like to turn your scribbles into monsters, so let's get it going. Alright, so this week's scribble is, I think that says Isabel? I think it says Isabel. You put the squares there so people will write their names really nicely, and sometimes I still don't know what the names are, but I'm going with Isabel, so thank you Isabel for your scribble. I really appreciate it. So yeah, let's get it going. The first thing I like to do, as always, is use a bright color and just trace over the scribble just to get a feel for the lines and how it works. Sometimes I use a monoline brush. It's just like quite a nice, easy, smooth brush to use, and I usually bump it right up so it's quite thick like that. So I've created a new layer here and I'm just going to trace around Isabel's scribble. Here we go. Now, I haven't done a video for a while because we had a new game come out using all the monsters that I've drawn. My husband and his daughter created a card game with them called Moosh, which is pretty exciting. So if you are a subscriber to my channel, you'll see that we filmed Matt going through the rules of the game, and I've got to respect the guy. He didn't want to practice, he just wanted to do it in one take. So we did that. And you can check it out, have a look, see if it'd be something that you'd be into or maybe not. It's a pretty simple card game. Alright, there we have it. We have this crazy cool scribble that we have traced here. Now what I like to do now is just create another layer and then bump that layer, the first layer we did, right down in opacity. And I'm going to switch my pen to a pencil, and I always like to use the peppermint one, and I'm going to change my color to black so we can see it a bit more. All right, what have we got? The first thing I can see personally is these parts here. To me, I am on the right layer, yes. I always have to check. These parts here, they kind of, to me, look like wings. Really kind of crazy wings, but I do think that they could be wings of some sort. And I don't have many monsters with wings. I think, just trying to think if I do. I think maybe one? So it's always good to try something a bit different. So maybe those two things could be the wings. And then almost, and you guys know I look at a lot of bugs, even though I'm terrified of them, or if you're subscribed you'll know, to get ideas. And this to me here looks like a bug booty, like a big old, maybe it's bigger than that though. Maybe it comes down like this. And could even come like right around, you know? Kind of like a bee. I like, we have these massive bees in New Zealand where I'm based. And they kind of remind me of like Winnie the Pooh. I call them Winnie the Pooh bees because they're huge and fluffy. And often they sit on flowers and they like twerk their bums like up and down, and it looks hilarious. So yeah, if you ever come to New Zealand and you see a big old fluffy thing flying around, which looks like it shouldn't be able to fly, it's probably one of our Winnie the Pooh bees. Now this is really crazy, but this to me here looks like a head of some sort. And maybe This is the mouth. Up here somehow. We'll just draw it in, come back to it later. Maybe this could be... kind of a random looking mouth. Does he have teeth? Like coming out of here, maybe? Like a big goober teeth? Goober teeth? I don't know what that means. And maybe he could have like a bug tongue or something. I'm sorry about my sniffing. So weird. And these parts here, almost, I don't know, but kind of maybe a little arm. I really like little, I'm kind of obsessed with little T-Rex arms at the moment. I did an event recently where I was doing these live on paper. You can check out my Instagram to have a look, or probably my TikTok's better to have a look at them, the live drawings. And I just wanted to draw like little T-Rex hands on all of them because they're just so cute. That's not really right, but that's alright, we'll come back to it. You know what, his head kind of looks like a weird, almost like a weird monkey head. You know, like this is like an ear. Sort of. And then these are like the eyes here. Are they bulgy eyes? I don't know about this tongue. Maybe it could be like a more of like a snake tongue. Or maybe he doesn't have a tongue. So that is looking really weird. I feel like if he's going to have a bum that he should have something off it. I'm not sure about a stinger, but I'll add it there for now. And then I also feel like maybe he needs like crazy legs coming forward. Maybe one can be forward, and maybe one can be backwards, like this. Kind of to give the idea that he's almost in motion. I really like these cute little paws. With the, I didn't even mean to draw that claw, but maybe with little claws or something. Maybe it can be more kind of rounded like that. Same with this one. I don't know about that face. It feels a little creepy. I know most monsters are probably creepy, but I feel like this maybe have gone too far. So we'll work on that. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to turn this layer off and create another layer, and then we're going to dull this right back. Like that. Now, I do feel like his wing is perhaps starting in a weird place on his body. So what I'm going to do is trace back around it like this. And then I'm just going to move it to where I think it should be. I've got magnetic snapping on, which we don't want because it won't let me move it as freely. So I kind of I feel like his wing should be there. I feel like that's a better placement. And then I almost want to make this bigger, like a bigger booty, more like that. And then his body, oops, no, wrong way. Oh, it could go that way. Maybe his body is a bit more like, maybe it's more like that. I'm totally embracing the bumblebee now. The bumblebee idea. Where it's a bit more stripy. Oh yeah, I like that. Oh, excuse me sniffing. Goodness me. That's cool. And I do like the shape of this wing as well, because it's not totally symmetrical. And I think that's kind of cool. It gives it a bit of character. I'm really not happy with this face. I think we should try something different. Let's have a think about it. Maybe instead of the teeth and the tongue, it could be a little cuter. It could almost be the other way around, where the mouth is like upside down. So maybe the mouth is here, like this. And these eyes are still here. And like, maybe his head does like a full kind of swirl action. And instead of that being a mouth, perhaps that's like, I don't know, crazy hair. Almost looks like now he's just got hair coming out of his mouth instead of his mouth being upside down. That's hilarious. He could have hair. He could have a hairy mouth. Yeah, actually, I kind of like that. I don't know about this part though, as whether do we keep this weird ear? Maybe we do. Happy accidents when you try and draw something backwards and it just ends up with a monster with hair coming out of its mouth. Maybe it's a bit more like an elf ear or something. A bit more like that. And then, so he has hair coming out of his mouth. Maybe his head needs to come up rounder like this. And he's got his ear and his weird mouth thing. Oh, that's crazy. I do like this line, and maybe this line comes down and around. And maybe he has like, maybe he has cute little ears like this as well. Maybe there's no ear there. Maybe it's just a big round head. You know, like real big round. With these weird, I'm gonna call them like, maybe they're like more like tentacles or things coming out of his mouth. Crazy creepy. And we're going to add this arm back in here. I'm liking the idea of these really cute little paws. I think they will be very cool. Yeah, maybe more like this, with little claws. And then this one I think can be bigger. It comes round like this. Almost like a little cat paw with, you know, the little toe beans here. Like that. And then the same for the back as well, so sort of coming all the way around like that. Oh, so weird. Right, let's maybe turn this layer off and go, like, dull it back and go over this again and see what we're working with. I feel like this ear could be smaller, and maybe these things on top are horns instead. So that's what I'm going to do. I will take that one away. We'll have a look. And then, you know, I'm actually going to flip him around so we can make him a bit bigger, because we have all the space and we're not utilizing it. I think maybe we put him on an angle a bit. I don't know. Maybe a bit more like that. And we'll turn this right down again. So scary. So scary looking. Okay, I think we can make it cuter though. I think we can get there. I really do enjoy horror movies and creepy things, but I also like it when they're kind of cute as well. So what I'm going to do first is I'm actually going to draw this ear the size that it is, because I like the idea of having it like this. And then I'm going to resize it to make it a bit smaller. I always say this, remember, you know, there's no mistakes in this stuff. You just keep going, and you never really know what you're going to end up with or how it's going to look, and it might look super creepy and weird, but that's okay. Or it might look just all out adorable, and that's also okay. There's no mistakes when it comes to drawing monsters, because, my friend, monsters don't have to look like anything. They can look like whatever you want, which is why I really love drawing them so much. Now, I think because he's got little paw hands and things, that maybe we give him more of like animal type face. That's not really what I was trying for. Try again. Like, I feel like his face needs to come out a bit more, and like he needs a little nose here. Or is that just too weird? Maybe it needs like more of a shape like that. I know this looks crazy messy, but trust me, trust the process. And then his head, I think, still comes around like this. Kind of got like a really big bulgy head. And then that comes around here like that. And we'll bring his body around here. I mean, I use the rubber because sometimes when it gets a bit crazy, it's good to just use that rubber to see where your lines are and things. And you know what, if you're doing this on paper, I find it's really good to use tracing paper. So instead of making the layers and things like that, you would just have tracing paper, and you'd start by tracing over the scribble on one piece of tracing paper, and then you'd use another piece of tracing paper to do your first sort of initial sketch, and so forth and so forth. So you keep going with that tracing paper until you were happy with what you'd come up with. I used to do that a lot, especially in design school. Well, I did fashion design and graphic design. I just couldn't get enough of university. And I used to use tracing paper all the time to draw my fashion outfits and things. So it's definitely a good tool to use. Especially, you know, if you don't have the iPad technology, which I know a lot of people don't, especially if you're a younger person. If you do have an iPad and you're young, sky's the limit, go nuts. And you're very lucky. I almost feel like instead of this being a part of the monster, that maybe he's just wearing a weird headband. And he's almost trying to look scarier than he is. So I feel like this is just something that he is wearing on his head. Like that. It's pretty random. And we'll draw these eyes. I might take them so that they come out a bit more like this. And so maybe there's a bit more of a cheek here. Huh? Oh my gosh. What are we up to? I'm going to show my husband this tonight and he is going to be like, what? Because if you watch my channel, you will know that my husband writes all the stories for these monsters. Just to place them in the world and, you know, to give them a little more purpose and meaning. And we always like to put a little moral lesson in there, little life lesson. I think it's really good, especially for me. I have struggled a lot with emotions and expressing myself with feelings and things like that. So it's been good to sort of collaborate with him and I guess help other people to understand what they're going through and what they're feeling. And these monsters, kind of, we use them to explain things a bit better, almost as like excuses for behavior. But you can read, you know, we have a book, so you can read all about them. And we also have all the stories on my website, which is really cool. So if there's any monsters that you want to know more about, or if you just want to check it out, You can go to klamabang.com and have a look. I'm going to put the stripe ending there so it doesn't interfere with his necklines. This is one crazy Isabel, I'm really sorry. But this dude is nuts. I hope you like it anyway. And often the line work makes it look even creepier. And then when we put all the beautiful pastel colours in, it starts to look a lot better. Well, a lot less creepy. That's his one wing there. And the other one just behind his ear. These shapes are great. I love these shapes in the back. So cool. Almost look like weird little love hearts. And then we'll draw this booty. It's getting bigger every time. Every time it's getting bigger. And I'm there for it. And then his tummy. Not really happy with the tummy. Almost feel like it needs to come from here. Sorry, from here. Like this whole bit is like the tum-tum. So we'll just rub that out and draw it in a bit better. Does that work? I don't know. Maybe it comes like there. Yeah, that could work. And what I'm gonna do with this paw is I really like the look of it, and I do this a lot. I draw one paw and I can never draw the other one to look as cool. So often I'll draw them on a separate layer and then copy paste them. And again, if you don't have an iPad, you can use tracing paper to do this. Like have a bit of tracing paper and then draw the paw and transfer it onto another bit of tracing paper. I'm like obsessed with love hearts, just FYI. So all my noses and paws usually involve love hearts. Add the little claws. Very cool. And then what I will do is duplicate that, and we'll just flip him around just like that and put him here. Make him a bit smaller because he's at the back, and I think that will work really well. And then I will use the rubber to rub this out so we can see what it looks like. Very cool. And what I'll do is I'll turn this off so we can have a better look. Pretty happy with that. I might just fiddle around with this neck part and the body, because I'm not quite happy with that, and I'm wondering, I'm going backwards now, but I am wondering if it does need to come up and around like this more, and this part is a bit more like that, like less sort of hunchy. And we'll rub, I'll just merge all these together, and then we'll rub this out just to see what it looks like. Yeah, I think that looks better. This could be coming out even more like that. And he could have like a little bum. You know, nothing wrong with a bit of bit. And if that's the bum line, then that would come through the middle like that. All right, very cool. So what I also will do, like I did with the other paw, is go over this one as well and put that one at the back. So, oh, what am I doing? Maybe the other one's more sort of up like that, and a little smaller because it is at the back. And then we will rub all this out. Just like that. Here we go. He's got his two paws. He's got his little bum. And I think I'm probably ready to do the final outline. And usually what I will do is speed that up so you don't have to watch me tediously redraw the entire thing. I think I will make him a bit bigger, and I do like to center my artworks, which I know goes against everything I was taught at design school. But that's alright. Alright team, so I'm gonna do the proper outline of this, and I'm gonna speed that up, and then I'm gonna color it, and then we will have a nice final piece. So I'll speed all that up for you, and we'll catch you at the end. All right, there you have it, Isabel. I hope you're happy with the monster that your scribble hatched. I'll put in the description a link to the story once my husband writes it. Hopefully it's not too crazy for him. I'll also put a link to my Buy Me a Coffee page where you can buy me just one coffee, or you can sign up to Buy Me Coffees monthly, and this gives you access to see a little bit behind the scenes and also to download these monsters to color in for yourself. And I love seeing what people do with my monsters and how they color them in. I have a one coloring sheet available on my website of all of the monsters, which is really cool, and I've had quite a few photos sent to me of it all colored in, and it looks so cool. So I'll put that link below, and I'll see you next time. All right, team, take care. Bye.
Oh, wow.